It was cool. It wasn't close. We actually did time together. 2 different places. We did time together in Talladega, and then we did time together in Long Park. He had a diabetic, almost went into a diabetic coma, and I was the one that saved his life. I feel bad because I got a 9-year-old, the youngest one, gonna be separated from her again. I don't hold anybody else. I don't fault nobody else besides myself.
We're here for the introduction of In and Out. It's a movement to change the world. It represents all things and all of us at all times. It's about freeing ourselves of any prison. Welcome to In and Out Podcast, where I have dope conversations with incredible people who have been released from some form of prison. I talk with my guests about their incredible journeys of beating the longest odds and achieving great success after going through pain, struggle, adversity, and then redemption. Today, I'm talking to my guest again, Mr. Andre Willis, as he takes us on his incredible journey of pain, struggle, redemption, and some more struggle. What's happening, brother? Good to be here again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything's good.
That's what's up. I appreciate you sitting down with me one more time. We've already sat down a couple times, but we've talked about it, and as I've learned, the story's just too incredible to do it all in one setting. So it took at least 3 parts and maybe even more. And listen, we talked about everything from the multiple millions of dollars that you was making in the streets. You was literally, what I would say, and I don't mean this to disparage anyone or try and compare you to anyone, but, the best way that I could say it is you was Meech before Meech, was known on the street on the level that he was known. And in many respects, maybe he even got some of his tactics of, or maybe he even looked up to you because you were doing it on a major level in the early 90s. Before they were calling people influencers, you was that dude. You was him before they was talking about him. You were the original him, especially with respects to Atlanta, with respects to the nightclub life, how the hip hop culture extended from the nightlife in Atlanta. Phoenix Dance Club, a legendary club that was in Atlanta. So many acts, from Mary J. Blige and TLC and Goody Mob, Gip Goody, all of that. All of those particular people, acts, and so many more came through the stages of Phoenix nightclub, and you were the owner of that, and so many other clubs in Atlanta. And we talked about the Fred Tokar's murder, where he, infamously tried to point a finger at you and say that you had something to do with it. You did not. He just saw a black face, someone who was selling drugs, who was in the streets. Once you were indicted with your friends, they put that up there, sensationalized it, and this dude, this creep, this murderer of his wife, Fred Tokar's, one of the biggest cases in Georgia history, pointed to you as the guy. Obviously, you was vindicated of that. Never had anything to do with it. Never did. You were not a murderer. You was just a dude out there that was getting money and a lot of it. So we went through all of that. You took us through, through the pain, through the struggle, through the highlights, the lowlights. We saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. We heard it all from you. The pain that your family went through, your children, all those things that people don't consider when they're out there getting that money, and they don't find out until them cell doors close. They don't really start thinking about it until that gavel hits, hits and the judge says guilty, or when that judge gives away 100 months, 200 months, 300 months, life sentence. That's when people really start thinking about the harm that they did and the mistakes that they made. And you've been through all of it and back. And now it pains me to talk about what we got to get into, because you're a flawed human being like all of us. I'm flawed. Everyone is flawed. None of us are perfect. And Dre, you've been in trouble before, and you've probably committed to not going back to the street life again. And, we ain't here to judge you, but we're here to learn from you. And I appreciate you being able to sit down, because it takes a strong person. It takes a lion of a man to be able to sit down, as they're going through the fire. So many people have come on and they've talked about, and I appreciate all of those guys. And I appreciate you, but that was looking back and then talking about all of the good things they're doing. You're going through their fire again, literally currently, You're going through struggle, and you're gonna have to experience some pain. Your family's gonna have to experience some pain. You know, you've been charged again. You know, you've got a monitor on. You're on home confinement as we speak. Electronic bracelet on your leg. You caught a new charge, and I want to ask you straightforward: what happened? How'd you get back in the streets, and why did it happen?
Well, I had supposedly a buddy that I've been knowing for over 30 years. Called me and asked me to get something for him, hook him up. And he said he really needed it. I was, pretty much practically out the streets. And took me a minute, but I gave in, trying to help a friend, not going with my first mind. Leave it alone, stay away from it. But I got a heart. And I thought I was helping him, but he was actually helping himself because he had got in some trouble. So once he placed the order, I went and got it for him. He took it straight to the DEA. So I did 2 transactions with him, small transactions, not very big transactions. And so I got basically set up.
Wow. And you knew this guy for over 30 years. How close was the relationship with him?
It was cool. It wasn't close. We actually did time together in 2 different places. We did time together in Talladega, and then we did time together in Lompoc. And he had a diabetic. He almost went into a diabetic coma. And, yeah. And I was the one that saved his life.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you saved his life?
Well, when you go into a diabetic coma, you got to get the sweets to him and all this stuff to raise the sugar back up. So his sugar had dropped so low, he was just talking out of his mind, and, he was out of it. So I ran and got the candidly, got the CO, where they could call the medics to get him, over to the hospital to bring his sugar and get him back right,
So you was in prison with this guy. This is where you formed the bond. This dude goes into a diabetic coma, and you literally saved his life.
Yes.
And this joker, this is how he repaid you?
How he repaid
You mean to tell me this guy who you saved his life came back and schemed on setting you up to get his own ass out of some trouble?
Exactly. But, in this day and time, street people the streets don't love nobody.
That's what they say. They say you can love the streets, but the streets ain't gonna love you back.
That's it. There's no such thing as loyalty. If I go get in some trouble, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I did it. Okay, cool. Because the circumstances. Right. But I don't encourage this, the streets. I don't encourage it because again, I give you an example. Me and him were friends until now. Now, if I hadn't never done anything with him, we'd still be friends. But the whole thing is to turn each other against one another. So yeah, you go do your time, you get out, but guess what? Y'all ain't friends no more. So y'all can't conspire to do anything, whether it's legitimately or not, because you don't trust that person. It's divide and conquer.
There you go. So the system didn't work again. It did its job. It divided and conquered at least 2 more black individuals in our community. Yo, Dre, that's crazy to me because you said something earlier. You said you did a favor. You said you wanted to do a favor for dude. And it doesn't seem like in our time, where we come from. It seemed like there was a lot more loyalty. And it seems like that's getting less and less with each generation. And, I know people that know you, and I talk to these guys, And that's what led to me sitting down with you and having this interview, because everybody, the one thing that people say about you is that you got a heart of gold, and that you're loyal to a fault, and that you kept it real.
I'm always gonna keep it real.
And that strikes me, because you thought you were keeping it real with this dude. Now here you are, you done left the streets, but just when you thought you got away, they pull you back in. And a lot of that is just because of your heart, trying to help a friend again. So I'm gonna tell you this. There's a saying, and the saying goes, and I can't think of where it came from, but it was a movie. It was Bronx Tale. And he said, a favor will kill you faster than a bullet.
That's correct.
So now this guy, I mean, obviously, you take responsibility for it. You did it. But at the same time, it's like you weren't even doing it for yourself. A nigga whose life you tried to save, or actually did save, and he set you up. That's crazy. I hate that for you, brother. And
just like I say, that's life. And everything that I do or that I talk about, I want it to be a learning lesson. A learning lesson. Simply because if you doing favors for a person, whether it's loaning money, whether it's doing something illegal or whatever, just always do your rational thinking. What if this goes wrong? I know this is not right. If I do this, what harm will I do to others if it's a setup, or if I get in trouble?
Right.
You call yourself being a friend or doing a favor, but you hurting your loved ones.
That's right.
So the best thing to do is just say no. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm not doing it. Period.
I can't do you no favors, Joker. Don't ask me for that.
Don't ask me for that.
As a matter of fact, when people start talking that crazy junk around me, I tell them, you know what I tell them? I said, man, you scaring me.
Right.
Why the hell is you even talking to me about that?
Exactly. We ain't never had this conversation before. But yeah, why me?
Right.
I know you know a whole lot of other people, but why me?
Right. You know what I'm dealing with. I done already did time twice. Why the hell you asking me that question? Get from around me.
That's the proper thing to do.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because listen, I know it's gotta hurt. I mean, like, what is how do you feel? I mean, I can only imagine, but I really just want to hear it in your words for anybody that's out there listening. What type of effect is that going to have on your families, and how do you feel knowing that you let them down again?
I feel bad because I got a 9-year-old. The youngest one is 9, and I made a pact that I would be here to raise her and to see her through adulthood. So now I'm gonna be separated from her again. But again, I don't hold anybody else. I don't fault nobody else besides myself, because it's still, at the end of the day, it's your choice. I gotta deal with it. I'm gonna deal with it, whichever way it comes. Do I want to go? No, of course. Who wants to? But again, when I call myself doing the favor, you still know the consequences.
You still knew you were breaking the law.
And the odds got me. It was against me from the jump, but the odds got me.
Have you talked to your daughter? Does she know you gotta go sit down?
Yeah, she knows, but she don't know when. I haven't told her when, but she knows that I got in trouble. She knows I'm on this ankle monitor. She knows all of that, as well as the rest of my children. Even my grown children, they're suffering. Because I've been gone majority of their life. But They are pretty much supportive. You know, it's not like I get out and, you know, how most people get out and do old dumbass shit, you know, just keep going back and forth to jail and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm this will be my third time, you know, going.
You have a good relationship with all your children?
I do. Except my oldest one, I don't talk to her. We don't have any contact. She stays in Fort Worth. But the rest of my 8, yes. And I got 15 grandchildren.
Wow, that's a blessing. Your oldest that you don't talk to, did you were you gone for a good amount of her life when she was growing up?
Yeah.
Do you feel that she harbors resentment for that reason?
I don't think so. I think more so her mom was gotten married, and it was her birthday. And she called me and asked me to send her some money to get her mama a birthday gift. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea, because I don't want the husband thinking that I'm sending money for your mama birthday, you know, and trying to, you know how that stuff goes. So yeah, so she didn't understand that, or she didn't take it like that. So she hasn't spoken to me since. That's been about 10 years.
Okay, well, we're hoping that we're gonna hope that, you know, somehow, some way, y'all mend those wounds, because you know, that's your seed, and you're her dad, and we only have one mother and one father. So.
Exactly.
You know, I think, at least my own experience and other experience that I've seen in other people, getting back to your 9-year-old, when they're that young, even if she knows dad might have to go away or dad might have to go to prison, I don't really think, I mean, there probably are some children that can, but for the most part, I think the mind is not so developed that they really understand the concept. Right. Even when you think about time.
Right. So that's something that she's gonna have to adapt to. But again, got to make the best of the situation, you know. Communication is what's key when you're gone. So
you have experience with this, like, you know, just speaking as plain. Of course, you've already been incarcerated twice for long periods of time. Long-term incarceration to me is, you know, 5 years or better, and you've done that twice.
Right.
So you say communication is key. What are some of the ways that you and you know, other people that's incarcerated are able to communicate with their children to try and keep that line of communication open?
Well, letters, cards, call. You know, the feds give you so many minutes per month.
Is it 300 still?
Maybe 300.
Yeah. You know, I did the math of that before when I was in there, and I said, you know what,
that's 10 minutes a day.
10 minutes a day. I said, this is fucking crazy. Then they try and tell you that they foster or they encourage strong family ties when you're in prison, but they give you 10 minutes a day to talk to your family.
Exactly. So now, you know, they got the email system now. But you know, a lot of people.
Correlates.
Right. A lot of people think, it's a negative way and it's a positive way as far as the minutes, because a person that's really privileged and got money, if it was unlimited minutes, they would ride the phone. Right. And it wouldn't, you know, so many fights and stuff will break out about the phones anyway. You know, that breaks out in county jail.
That's right, all the time.
You know, ain't no minutes in the county jail. Right. But if a person got money and they keep hanging up, calling back, some of them be on the phone for hours. Right. And nobody can get to the phone. So, you know, that's where that phone check come in at and all that. Yeah. But, you know, but, yeah, you better respect it. You know, hey, either that you go. Exactly. It's two things you can lose. Two things that you can lose your life about or wind up in the hospital. It's the phone and the TVs.
In a split second.
In a split second. The phone and the TVs. But, you know, again, that's people who done got comfortable with the time. Find something constructive to do while you doing time. The TV is, I love the TV, don't get me wrong. Right. And it's entertainment. But after a while it becomes what they call an idiot box. Because all you doing is sitting and watching stuff.
Free world or when you're behind the wall.
Exactly. Find something constructive to do. Try to better yourself. Try to get your ass out of prison.
Right. What are some of the other things that you found constructive to do when you was locked up? And more importantly, what are some of the constructive things that you intend on doing when you go in there to prepare yourself for the next time you come home? Because you are coming home. You're not facing a life sentence, obviously, or I wouldn't be here sitting there talking to you because they probably wouldn't have gave you a bond. What are some of the things that you're going to do when you're in there that's going to be constructive, that's going to make you a better person so that you never have to, even for a split second, no matter who they come to you, hey, can you get the hell away from me, dude? Why are you asking me that?
Well, I am going to write my book.
You're going to write your book. All right, dope.
I'm going to focus on that. That'll give me time to, sit back, really think. Because that's all you can do. As long as you use your time constructively. I want to start doing research on resources on helping the youth.
That's awesome.
Keeping them out of trouble, or counseling them and helping them realize what are the consequences of doing crimes and getting in trouble. The youth, you think about it, they get in trouble, get a bunch of time. That's what we call population control. They're not able to produce children. They lose family ties.
That's right. If they have children, they're not able to raise their children.
They lose family ties. It's a lot that comes behind that. And everybody that you think is your brother or your friend, that's where the tests come in at. Out of sight, out of mind.
That's right. Out of sight, out of mind. And that, that's exactly what I'm sitting here thinking. You could try and have as much communication as you can. And some people are better than others. And some people are more, they're just more privileged to be able to communicate better. For whatever reason. It could be a number of different reasons. It could be money. It could be the relationship with the mom. If she's encouraging the children to talk, to communicate with their dad. Or in the cases where, because I don't, obviously we're men, so we're talking about from a dad's perspective, but there's plenty of women that's in prison also. Right. So when they're in prison, then it's the same type of thing. They need encouragement from the fathers or whoever may be the caregivers of their children. It needs to be reciprocated where the person that's incarcerated is reaching out and trying. And a lot of times the children don't, they got their own lives, they're growing up. They don't feel like necessarily talking all the time, or they might get on the phone for 1 second, or they don't want to come spend the whole day and hang out in the prison. And it's not their fault that we fucked up and that we're incarcerated. Right. However, the flip side to that is you are still their father, and you still matter, and you're still relevant, and whoever is raising those children, in my opinion, it's going to be better for them, better for the children, and better for the parent that's incarcerated if there's some type of structure. Right. And that's important.
It's very important because, a lot of people think that you can't be a father or mother from prison. Yes, you can.
That's right.
Yes, you can.
That's right.
It is up to the other party to allow that to happen.
And let's get into that more. I love that you say that because that's extremely important. You're damn real you're still a father in prison or a mother in prison. And some people lose sight of that. It's like you're this God-like figure. You taking care of all of the bills. You're a boss on the outside. And everybody know what you're doing.
Right.
Let's just speak it plain. The people around you. You, me, anyone. I'm saying you, but this is for anyone. The wife, the girlfriend, the lovers, whoever, they know what you're doing. They benefiting from it. There's trips being made. There's things being bought. That's not excusing what you did. But there's a lot of people that are benefiting from it. However, sometimes, some of us, and I'm not painting with a broad brush, but I'm just saying I know that this does happen and it could be a problem. So I think, for whoever's listening who might be, on the other side of this, who might have a loved one that's locked up, or might have had a loved one before that's locked up, or might end up having a loved one in the future that's locked up. Don't treat that person like they are less than because they got locked up for doing something that you might have not did it. Right. Maybe you didn't encourage it, but by your actions, give me, let me take, keep buying. Let's keep doing. When you know that they were doing something that's illegal, that's just something to think about. Exactly. Because I've seen before, and I could, imagine that it happens, and talking to other friends, thousands of people that I've met when I was incarcerated and since I come home. A lot of my friends have been incarcerated, because that's just the way it is when you have a color of skin that we do. Not, just speaking in plain, this is America. This is the home of incarcerating black people. This is what they do very, very well. The prison industrial complex. So my point, and I want you to speak on this. I believe sometimes people start looking at the individual as if they're less than, or they're not capable of still being a father, or they can't give the same advice that they used to give because they fucked up. But they can, and they want to, and they should be allowed to, because boys and girls, young men, young women, teenagers, female or male, need their parent in their life. And I don't give a damn if they're here, they're in prison, they're in Timbuktu, or they're on the moon. It's helpful for the child to be able to have somebody that they know is their father or mother that they look up to. And if the other participant, when I say participant, the participant in making that child is not encouraging, building it up, then what they're actually doing is tearing them down. And if you're tearing them down, you're tearing it down your own offspring. What you got to say about that?
But that is the reality of the system. Remember I said divide and conquer?
I do.
The system. Okay, let me give you an example. And I know you asked me the question, but I'm gonna go all the way. I ain't gonna answer the question directly.
I want to hear it.
A woman or a man, and we're not gonna distinguish between the two, because just like you say, it's male and females incarcerated.
That's right.
Sometimes the male, the father, gets custody of the children. And we as majority of humans act as if, just like you said, when that person is incarcerated, they become less than a parent.
Right.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna find a good woman to help me raise this child, or a good man from a woman's standpoint to raise this child. But what are you doing to that child? Because 9 times out of 10, that child wants to be connected with their biological father or mother.
Right.
So you're destroying that child, not knowing, not realizing it.
That's right.
Simply because that's how they come up with these people joining gangs, these people running away from home, and all this and all that. A child will be quick to tell a non-biological parent, you ain't my mama, you ain't my daddy.
That's right.
How you gonna tell me what to do? Or I want my mama, or I want my daddy. And it's destroying the child.
That's right.
You think it's helping the child, but in reality, you're trying to help yourself. We don't, as parents in general, and I'm not saying me, you, but sit down and talk to your children. Ask them, what do they want? Gangbanging is getting out of control now. How you think all these youngsters running around here shooting and killing each other? They ain't got no direction.
They got no direction.
Either they don't listen to their mama, or their mom and daddy ain't in their life.
That's right.
And a lot of times when they be joining gangs, they looking for love.
Right. And direction.
And directions. Leadership. But it's the wrong direction and wrong leadership. But once you get in trouble, them brothers that you thought you had or that loved you, they gone. A lot of them are turning on each other. We see it on TV every day.
Right.
So the reality is, and I've learned in my prior incarceration, that you can be a parent from prison.
That's right, from a distance.
Right. Call and communicate. You know what I'm saying? Let that child know you love them. Ask them how they doing, what's going on in their life.
That's right. And I think it's very important for the other parent to encourage the child. Hey, your mother sent you a letter.
Right.
Did you read it? Did you write him back?
Yeah.
Your father sent you a letter. Did you read him? Write him back.
Right.
Because what good does it do when the parent does come home 5, 10, 15 years? I mean, it could be any amount of time. Mm-hmm. If there's not any connection between the parent and the child, then it makes it that much harder for that parent to be an influence in the child's life.
Yeah, because the child gonna look at, I don't know you.
Right.
Who are you?
Right.
They say you my father, they say you my mother, but who are you?
Right.
I don't know you.
Yeah, and where the hell you been? Yeah. And what have you done for me?
Right. So again, just like I say, when you fall to the system and let the system control you, that's what happens, divide and conquer. And a lot of women get on these Section 8, get on these food stamps, get on this because the government can get to them, assistance. But what is that saying? Oh, you don't need no man. We're going to put you on Section 8. You pay $10 a month or you pay $20 a month for your rent, and we're going to give you food stamps according to how many children you got. You don't need that, man.
All right. Well, they've been fucking us up for a long time with this little, it's not a little actually, it's an intelligent design thing here, where they're able to take the man out of the family unit one way or another, and we helping them out with it. Yeah, Charleston White is right about that. Because we damn sure helping them out. We killing each other faster than they killing us. So that we killing each other. We on drugs. Then you got them taking us out. They locking us up. They fucking us up bad.
They are. They are. They really are. And
And we fucking ourselves up. We helping them out.
You're right. And see, a lot of people, and I'm going to tell you, my buddy, Wicked. I don't know if you know Wicked from Ghetto Mafia, but we get caught up in saying what the white man is doing.
That's right. What are we doing?
But it ain't just the white man. You can't single that out and say the white man.
Yeah, that's real broad.
Black people that think just like.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah, now you really cooking with hot grease.
You know what I'm saying? So it ain't just it. So guess what it is?
Tell me.
Them people, the other side, or you got to come up with. You can't just segregate just one race.
No, you can't. That's facts also, because some of the white people I know, some of my best friends are white. And they're some of the best people in the world, and they're way better than some of the other people I know.
Exactly. And you look at it even when you go on, if you social media, you see the cops abusing citizens.
Right. And sometimes it's black on black. Matter of fact, sometimes they worse.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you. But see, the TV give you the percent of, oh, look at these white cops running around jumping on black people.
Right.
It ain't just the white cops. I was looking at something the other day where they was locking up a black guy. They had him hog-tied. You know what the hog-tied is? When they have your handcuffs and have your legs tied up too. They were dragging him into jail. But the correctional officer just beating him. White and black.
It's just savagery. Yeah, no matter what color they are, savages.
So it ain't just one race. You see, so, but we sometimes get so macho where you think you're gonna go in there and run them people's shit. You ain't gonna run them people's shit.
Nah, hell nah.
You see what I'm saying? Carry your ass on in there and sit down.
Right. And get a book.
Get you a book and get the privileges, the little privileges that you got.
You damn real you ain't gonna run nothing, because I don't give a damn who you are. At 4 o'clock, your ass gonna stand up for count. You gonna stand at 4 o'clock count.
I don't give a damn what color you are.
Right. Yeah. And where you came from and what you ran. Your ass is gonna be standing if you can physically stand.
That 4 o'clock count goes to Washington, D.C.
Ain't no question. And they'll get the entire military, United States, the backing of the full complement of the United States to make your ass comply. You going to comply. And they'll hogtail you if you don't, just like you said. And they'll be dragging your ass.
Drag your ass. And they'll take you somewhere where you ain't got to stand up, but you ain't gonna like it. You know that ADX? Yeah, you don't want to go there.
Yeah, they got somewhere.
They got somewhere for you. I mean, just comply. Hell, you broke the law.
That's right.
You broke the law. They didn't make you break it. Right. You chose to do it.
Right. So you got that mindset going in. So the mindset that you broke the law, you've accepted your responsibility, and I mean you strike me as the type of person that you're gonna go in there, you're gonna comply, and you're gonna come out better. You got two choices to make: bitter or better.
Gotta come out better. Right. You know, I was a youngster at one time, and when I did my first 9 years, 6 months, that wasn't nothing. It was a breeze to me.
Okay, and with that thought in mind, I want to ask you something. I'm talking about your first 9 years, 6 months. You was a youngster. This is Kingpin Andre Willis. Okay. They say there's 2 days that you remember when you go to prison. The day you go in,
and the day you get out.
Okay. Tell me about the first day when you went in. What do you remember about it?
I always thought I was claustrophobic, but that broke real quick. Ain't that you could do. You in a dorm with 19 other people, 20 other people. And I tell you, the holdover, which is in Atlanta, the holdover, the main, holdover. Back then, that's where they would house all of the pretrial inmates,
right,
unless you was cooperating.
Right.
If you cooperating with the government, they would send you to one of the county jail, Paulding County or Douglas County,
okay,
back then.
Wow.
So I'm over at the penitentiary.
Atlanta Pen, USP. If you caught a fed charge in Atlanta, you've been through there.
Yes.
Through transit or something, holdover, something.
Some holdover. But now, but see, back then, they didn't have the new holdover wing that they got now.
Okay.
You actually mixed in with the actual federal inmates that was doing time.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You go to their kitchen, you go through there on the weekend, man, you order your eggs like you wanted them, over easy, scrambled, fried, whatever. They do it right on the grill for you.
Wow, so you got a little taste of what was going to happen when you went to do your time. Oh, wow.
All that. The holdover, but you wouldn't go to the theater with the federal inmates that was doing time there, because
you go there with other pretrial people.
You went in there with other pretrial people, but the cafeteria, when you ate, you went through the line where the federal inmates was actually working in the kitchen. When I got there, of course, I'm putting money on my books and my partner books, so we gonna go to the store and we just gonna buy what we want to buy and just, eat and have fun.
Right, you were still papered up.
Yeah.
You living good.
I looked and I say, man, this is a whole world inside of the world.
A world in a world.
A world in a world. You got your softball field. You got your medical. You got your hospital in there. You got your dental in there.
Yeah. You got team sports.
You got basketball in there. You got a damn grocery store, really what they call the commissary. Right. Everything that you would need on the outside is on the inside.
Right. It's a community.
A whole community. And I was like, oh my goodness. I just stood in the middle and just looked around, man, and just seen the 50-foot wall just in all of us that's inside of this wall, in a world within a world. Wow. That was my first experience.
Wow. So contrast that with after that 9 years and 6 months, when you came home.
When I got out.
How did you feel?
It felt very different in getting in a car and riding. It felt very different, and it feels like the air is completely different. Even if you're in a fence.
Yeah, you're around thousands of niggas every day.
but the air, it seems like it's different in the free world. You know, it's like, then you see all the changes, because it's definitely gonna be some changes from where you when you were gone. But then, you be excited to get out. But then reality kicks right back in. Because now you got to become a provider, or you got to provide for yourself. Right. While you locked up, they gonna provide for you. Your ass gonna eat 3 times a day. You gonna have you a cot or a bed to sleep in. You ain't gotta worry about no electricity. You ain't gotta worry about no water bill, no gas bill, none of that. But reality kicks in.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that, because outside of the stress of being locked up and being away from your family and loved ones, there was a point, at least for me, and I'm sure for so many people, that, like you say, you don't really have no stress. I mean, if you know how to do time and you've been right, like, yeah, you want to get out. I mean, that is stressful, because I wanted to get out more than I wanted to breathe. So that was there, but bills, and it was a different, honestly, once you really just accept the fact that this is my new world, and this is going to be my world for however many years, temporary, it was stress-free. You don't have to worry about it.
You ain't got to worry about nothing.
They got your medical, they got your food.
They got all that.
You just wake up and go eat. You might not like the food that's there, but
it's
going to be there.
It's going to be there.
You ain't got to pay for it.
Yeah,
you
got to pay for it. But the real challenge comes in when you get out. What the hell I'm going to do? But you want to do the right thing. Right. And, we as individuals that's incarcerated or been incarcerated, they'll say, well, I'm a convicted felon. I can't find no good job.
Right.
You got to put the energy and effort to it. Yeah. But most of us are lazy and don't want to put the energy to it. Right. You want to go back to what you know.
Yeah.
Which is the wrong thing to do. Because when you go back to what you know, depending on how quick it is before you go back or get caught up, you're going to get more time than you got before. That's right. It's just luckily that on federal cases, after they get so many years old, they can't use that prior against you. Right. Now the state is totally different. The state gonna go all the way back to your juvenile. Right. But the feds can only use crimes throughout a 15 years.
15 years. That's what I was gonna say. 15 years is still a fairly lengthy time, and you still gotta get expunged off your record if you're smart.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't even know this. You can do, say for instance, I did 9 years, 6 months. You got 5 years supervised release, which is like probation for people who don't know what supervised release is. You can do 4 years, 11 months, and 29 days. That's right. And violate that last day, and they can start that right back over, and the 15-year limit
Starts over again. Yeah. It's a real.
That's why I say people got to.
It's the fuck shit.
Yeah.
They've been doing it to us for a long time. I done seen kids catch a 2-year sentence and wind up doing 15 years in pieces.
Yes.
Just keep doing it. Eventually the judge just like, you're not very good at doing supervised release. I'm just gonna give you whatever I'm gonna give you and just gonna kill the paper. Yeah. And some dudes prefer to do that. Listen, just sending me and kill the paper. I can't do supervised release.
Some people prefer to do it, but even if you ain't doing right on supervised release, what's gonna make you do right when you ain't on no paper, period?
Yeah, it's a big setup.
So that's what we got to realize. That's what we need to realize.
Have you realized that?
Definitely.
What are you gonna do differently to ensure? Well, I know you're gonna write a book.
Yes, but you know what? Change your surroundings.
Okay, bingo. That's a good one.
If you go back to the hood, or you go back to hang with the friends that you was hanging with, supposedly friends that you was hanging with, you're gonna get right back into. It's just like a drug addict. A drug addict that's a recovering addict, that's sober. You can't go hang with people in the hood that's smoking crack or smoking weed or whatever, because you're gonna fall right back into it.
That's right. Well, they say show me someone's friends and you can know a lot about that person. You know, they say that if you just change the people that you hang, like if the people that you're hanging around are in the same income status as you, your income's probably gonna stay the same or maybe less. If you're hanging with people that have income less than yours. If you hang around people that have a lot, like a higher income status, your income can increase by an average of 20% simply by hanging around them.
There you go. And I tell people today, if you hang around a bunch of broke people, you're gonna be broke.
That's right.
Because they don't care about money. They just want to live day by day. But if you surround yourself around people that want to make money, you're gonna make money.
That's right.
Because you're gonna eventually learn, or they're gonna show you ways, legitimate ways. Now we're not talking about illegal ways.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, well, you know, as the saying goes, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this. I don't know it exactly, but I'll give it just for the, you know, you get the gist of it. If there's 4 people, you got 3 friends, 3 stupid friends, you 3 dumb friends, you'll be the 4th one. Right. You know, if you got 3 broke friends, you'll be the 4th one. If you've got 3 friends that have money or rich friends, you'll be the 4th one. You know, so hanging, your surroundings and the company that you keep is everything. Nehemiah Davis, he talks about a winning diet. You know, you got to be a winning diet. A diet is not just what you eat; it's what you take. It's what your eyes take in. It's what your ears take in. It's what you hear. It's what you read. It's what you allow yourself to listen to. It's what you do. It's the circle of friends that you have around you. All of those influences are going to be a very big determinant of how you're going to turn out.
Exactly. So let me say this, while we were talking, that is something that I've just thought about. You know, as a child, and I learned this in a program. What you live with, you learn. What you learn, you practice. What you practice, you become.
Say that one more time. I need it for myself, but everybody might have not got that too.
What you live with, you learn. What you learn, you practice. What you practice, you become.
What you practice, you become.
Which what that saying is, if you hang around people that's making money legitimately, you're gonna learn that. And you're gonna start practicing it.
That's right. Once you learn it, you're gonna practice it.
And that's what you're gonna become.
That's what you're gonna become.
So always be aware of your surroundings. Surround yourself around positive things and people. Yeah, it takes more work than it does to pick up a sack, go stand on a corner, or pick up a sack and go flip it and make a quick $1,000. But that quick $1,000 ain't gonna always be good for you, because that quick $1,000 may cost you some time.
That's right.
Where you may take a week or 2 weeks to make that $1,000. But at least you ain't got to look over your shoulders. You ain't got to worry about what am I doing wrong, or who watching me, or can I go to prison for this, or can I get locked up for this? Can I even get killed for this?
The ultimate mistake, the ultimate sacrifice, losing your life.
Exactly, because when you in the streets, you risking your life as far as death. You risking your life as far as freedom. You know, so it's well said. The street life either gonna lead you to prison or death. Now you got what, maybe 2-3% that might can get in the game or get in the street life and get out without getting caught.
Right.
Long term. I ain't saying just people that everybody, you know, I talked to a lot of people and they was like, well, shoot, I done something wrong. I'm not judgmental. I done something wrong. I just didn't get
caught. I hit it all the time.
But that's short term. But I'm talking about the long term people who think that it's a daily activity that you can live the rest of your life doing this, because you can't. Death or prison. You risking your family life, your girl, your children, your mama, because if a desperate person know that you making money and they find out where your mama live or whatever, they can kidnap them or go try to rob them, and you know, you putting everybody else's life in jeopardy, not just yours. And that's things that we as people got to realize and learn.
That's right.
Everything that you do affect others that's around you.
That's dope.
I want to go on this journey, this counseling and teaching. Counseling our youth. You know, a lot of people come up with, well, I was raised in the projects, I ain't had nothing, and I did that, I had to do this and that. What about the other people that was in the projects that became successful? What makes them better than you? The next person is no better than you. Just because a person got more money than you don't mean that that person is better than you. That means that person was successful in what they set their mind to, and you can do the same. You know, so yeah, always be aware of your surroundings and the influences.
That's right. I think I'm gonna leave it there. I think you were speaking right to him from the heart for everybody that was listening. One more time, this was Andre Willis Part 3. It takes a real man to be able to sit down and not just talk about his past mistakes, but to talk about the struggle that he's living right now. And we appreciate him for coming on, because he's one of the real ones. He's one of the last of the Mohicans, Andre Willis. And he gave it to you all. He gave it to us. He gave us, you know, he gave us everything from the heart. He spoke directly to us. He spoke directly to you. And as in the words of Andre Willis, I'm gonna say it one more time just to make sure that you got it. What we live with, we learn. What we learn, we practice. What we practice, we become. So become better. Keep going on. It don't matter where you're at. It don't matter what you're facing. It don't matter where you've been. You can always get better. You can keep striving. You can keep learning. You know, for those of you that's locked up, keep reaching out to your children. You know, for those of you that just coming home, form relationships with your children. You know, when you make a mistake, if you have to do time, you got to make 2 decisions. You got 1 decision to make out of 2 choices. You're going to be bitter or better. Be better. So you know where to find us at INNOUTWW In and Out Podcast with Eric Gerald. I am your host. Keep checking us out on all social media platforms. INNOUTWW. Keep checking us out. We appreciate you. Keep commenting, following, follow back. Check us out. Send us to a friend. Tell your friends about us. We need you just like you need us, because we give into each other. It's a reciprocal relationship. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Keep checking us out on In and Out Podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in, and now we out.
Peace.
Peace.